Good evening. The judge is out of town. He's at a Jonesboro meeting of the state county judges, and he asked if I would open the meeting this evening. So we'll call the meeting to order, and the first thing we'll do is ask Assessor Russell Hill to come lead us in the prayer and the pledge.
As we pray, we did lose a dear former member that worked for the Election Commission, Bill Ackerman, so I want to lift up his family too as we begin tonight. So remember them in your prayers. Heavenly Father, we thank you for today. We thank you for your grace, your mercy, your good gifts. We know that every good gift comes from you. And Father, we pray that you just be with Bootsy and the Ackerman family at their loss with Bill and what's going on with them right now. They were a wonderful model couple. Just of what marriage looks like and what love looks like and what you look like in a relationship together. And we just know that we just need you to be around her today as she walks through this difficult time. You guide her and direct her. We ask you to guide and direct our Quorum court as they continue to go over the issues for the county. Give them wisdom, judgment, discernment, and may they guide us in what's good for everybody in the county. And we just ask all of this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So at this time, I would entertain nominations for an individual to preside over this meeting. Yes, yes, JP Lemming. Are there other nominations? All in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, thank you. Are there any changes to the agenda at this time? JP Duncan. Oh.
I mean JP.
Can you catch it? I'll let you do it.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I need to make a motion to move item number 9 from the agenda.
Remove 9.
Item number 9. At the request of the applicant, apparently there was a real estate deal that fell through, and so the applicant's requesting that be removed from the agenda.
Okay, so motion by JP Deacon, second by JP Lemming to remove number 9. All in favor of that motion? Say aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Are there other changes to the agenda? Yes, JP Washington.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. I would like to have Resolution 21R004 added as item 10 to the agenda.
Who was the second? I'm sorry. JP
Oh, I'm
Pond?
sorry.
Okay.
I see it.
Would you like to speak to that?
No, I'm sorry. At the end of the consent agenda, so I guess that would be number 12. I apologize.
Okay, number 12. Okay. Okay. All in favor of that motion to add the resolution to the agenda? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Okay. So I need a motion to adopt the agenda. JP Lemming moves. Was there a second? Did I hear?
Second.
Okay, second by Deacons, JP Deacons. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed say nay. Motion passes, and we have an agenda. Yes, sir.
I move that all resolution ordinances be read by title only.
Okay, thank you, J.P. Duncan. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion passes and we'll be reading by title only. Okay, it looks like we're ready for citizen comments. The citizen comment period is 15 minutes. It's limited to 3 minutes per individual. And so we'll open it up for citizen comments. Please state your name and where you live if you come forward. You have to light it up. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm not sure how that technology works. Sarah Moore, Fayetteville, Arkansas. First, I wanted to just kind of address, there have been a lot of community conversation and dialogue over since January, and there's been conversations back and forth with different folks stating potentially, motives behind that are to, to stick things in the mud and to keep things from propelling forward, and nothing will please individuals. But I want to thank everyone for the work that they're doing on the court, the Washington County staff as well. And I want to really challenge us to think about, whenever we are having conversations about these very tough subjects and things that really impact our communities, that when community members are coming forward and they're challenging what's happening with our spending, or they're challenging what our process is, that's not a personal attack on anyone, but it actually is to make sure that we're doing what is best and most impactful for our vulnerable communities especially. And a lot of that was around the care spending. We'll have some of those conversations, I think, later with some of the COVID. But one of the things that I really was hoping that we could, and I see the judge is not here, so it might have to be at a different time, is to have an update on the emergency rental assistance program. The county actually did purchase some software and did a contract with a third party. And there wasn't much public discussion about it, and I don't think, again, there was, anything, that's wrong with doing that, but I just think trying to keep the doors of communication open and giving an update on exactly what that process looks like, who we've partnered with, what the spending was, and kind of what the process will look like going forward would be really helpful, because lots of us in the community that are assisting individuals to apply for those benefits are not really clear on exactly how that works. And so having our quorum court and our judge kind of speak to the community could be very helpful. Thank you.
Community comments. Any other comments? Seeing no other comments, we'll move forward with the agenda. The minutes were sent out. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Any corrections? J.P. Lemming?
Motion, we accept them.
J.P. Lemming makes the motion to accept the minutes. Is there a second by J.P. Deacons? All in favor of the motion to accept the minutes, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, say nay. The motion passes. I don't have a report for the judge. Is there anything that you're aware of that needs to be reported at this time?
Just the disposal of county property for the minutes. You acknowledged it.
It's in the packet.
Okay.
It's in your packet.
Is it further down?
It's right here. Just need to state that it's in the packet. The disposal.
Okay. So there's an item in the packet to acknowledge disposal of some assets, page 14.
Mm-hmm.
So, don't need a motion? Right, okay.
Oh, I need to
Okay.
voting.
Pardon?
Can I address the voting?
Sure, if you would, that'd be great.
So just to let y'all know, and I talked to J.P. Wilson about this, we're going to be utilizing our, can you not hear me? Okay. We're utilizing the electronic voting tonight at the meeting, so Miss Patty's gonna call roll. When she gets ready to vote, you're gonna notice there's gonna be 3 buttons that light up. You're gonna have a green plus sign, a yellow circle, and a red minus. Those are for voting yes, abstaining, and voting no. It'll take us some while to get used to it. The purpose of this is, because we can't turn all your mics on when we vote, people that are watching on YouTube and sometimes people out in the audience cannot hear who said what. And so this electronically keeps a copy. It'll pop up on the screen, and the people watching on YouTube will be able to see exactly how everyone votes and how the vote count goes. And so, anyways, I just kind of wanted to explain. If you have any questions, we'll take it slow so that there aren't any issues. So, negative means no. Positive means yes. Green means yes. Yellow is abstain. Red is no. I think JP.
Did you have a question?
There's a lot of feedback in this, and it hurts my ears. So it's like I try to turn down my volume, but there's like this little echo that just absolutely is killing me.
Patty and IT are trying to work on it to get it to turn
Okay.
down.
I just was like, maybe there's something wrong with my ears, but it's hard to listen to this. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any questions about the voting system? Everybody good with how to operate it? We're going to give it a try. So let's move on to item number 8 on the agenda, and we'll let the attorney read by title only.
Okay, item 8 is on a second reading. It's an ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Board for the Pleasure Heights Road Sealant Facility.
Yes, JP Deacons.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to suspend the rules and take this to the third and final reading.
Second by JP Lemming. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay. Go ahead and do the third reading.
An ordinance ratifying a conditional use permit recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Board for Pleasure Heights Road Sealant Facility.
Okay. You want to comment on it?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I've talked to both applicant, the planning board, and I've received no negative public comments on this, so I would move passage of number 9. Or number 8, I'm sorry, passage number 8.
Second by JP Lemming. Second by JP Lemming. Are there any questions or comments from the JPs? Yes.
So when I was reading through this, it says that the applicant states there will be little to no smell associated with the production process. How was that determined? Like, how do you determine that will be little smell or no smell?
Oh, I'm sorry. Waiting for nothing. Applicant owns and operates other facilities like this, but also I would invite, there's both engineering support and the applicant here tonight, if Chairman would allow them maybe to speak to those questions.
Would someone like to address the question of how we know if there will be smell? Would you like to restate your question?
So yeah, the question was centered around the fact that this is using a different technology, the asphalt and emulsion-based fog sealant. And then in the next paragraph, it just said that there will be little to no smell. And so I was just wondering, because anytime there's a chemical reaction, there's a possibility for a smell. So I just wanted to know how it was assessed, like little to no, how do you determine that?
And if you don't mind stating your name and how you fit with the process, please.
Push the little button with the head up. There you go.
I'm Daniel Lazenby. I'm here with Engineering Services Incorporated in Springdale, representing the applicant Hall Brothers. And Hall Brothers operates facilities in Kansas and Texas, both similar facilities producing the same material. And based on their history operating the similar facilities in the other states, they've not had complaints or issues with any of the neighbors, and just being there and operating it, they know this to be true. And so I've got the president of Hall Brothers here, Mr. Rob Lauer, if you have any specific questions about the facility or the process beyond that.
Thank you. Are there any public comments on this ordinance? Any public comments? Seeing none, we'll,
Call the roll.
yes, if we could call the roll, that'd be great.
Sam Duncan.
Yes.
Shonda Washington. Eva Madison. Robert Dennis.
Yes.
Suki Hires. Evelyn Rio Stafford. Willie Lemming. Jim Wilson.
Yes.
Butch Pond.
Yes.
Lance Johnson.
Yes.
Shannon Marty. Sean Simons.
Yes.
Bill Usry.
Yes.
Patrick Deacons.
Yes.
Lisa Ecke. So this ordinance passes.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, we'll move to item number 10. If you'd read that by title only, Mr. Lesser.
So that's
Item 10 is an ordinance increasing the salary of the county attorney and the county attorney budget for 2021.
Patrick, J.P. Deacons,
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd move passage of item number 10.
are you moving for third and final reading?
It's on second reading.
Second reading at this time?
It's up to y'all.
It,
Yes, I would like to suspend the rules, move to third and final reading.
so J.P. Deacons moves to suspend the rules and move to third and final reading. Is there a second to that? Was that J.P. Usry? Oh, Johnson. Okay, sorry. My hearing's not good, is it?
It's tough in this room.
Okay, so the motion is to move to third and final reading. Is there any discussion among the members of this body?
No discussion on a motion to suspend the rules.
Okay. I found this on the web for is there any discussion among the members of this body? Check it out.
Huh, Siri's getting into the act, can you believe it? Okay, just vote. Okay, so we're gonna take a vote on this motion to suspend the rules and go to third and final reading. So are you ready, Miss Patty? Just go ahead and do your roll call, that's fine.
Sam Duncan.
Yes.
Shonda Washington. Yes. Eva Madison. No. Robert Dennis.
Yes.
Suki Hires. Evelyn Rio Stafford. No. Willie Lemming.
No.
Jim Wilson.
Yes.
Butch Pond,
Yes.
Lance Johnson,
Yes.
Shannon Marty, Sean Simons,
Yes.
Bill Usry,
No.
Patrick Deakins,
Yes.
Lisa Ecke.
And what is our
I
count?
have 9 for, and 4 against.
Okay, so we'll move on to third and final reading next time.
Next time.
Next month.
Okay, we'll move to the consent agenda. And that is 1 through. Yes, J.B. Deakins.
Chairman Wilson, I move passage of the consent agenda. I move passage of the consent agenda.
Okay, motion by J.P. Deakins to pass it, second by J.P. Duncan. Is there any question? I guess we just,
We've got to read them by title.
okay, go for it.
Oh, you got a hand raised.
Okay,
My understanding from the discussion at the Budget and Finance was that any member could remove something from the consent agenda, and I would like to remove item 9.
okay. So that would leave 1 through 8 on the consent agenda. And do we have to vote on that?
No, anybody can ask.
So
to
she's
remove it
asked to
without a vote.
remove it. We'll remove number 9 at this time. And we'll vote on the consent agenda.
Correct.
So,
Well, I've got to read them all by title.
okay.
So we don't get as much feedback. Okay, consent agenda. Item 1 is an ordinance changing the title of GIS Analyst Senior Programmer to GIS Manager in the County Assessor budget for 2021. Item 2 is an ordinance changing the title and grade of Juvenile Care Worker positions in the Juvenile Detention Center budget for 2021. Item 3 is an ordinance changing the title of Assistant Parts Manager to Heavy Equipment Operator in the County Roads budget for 2021. Item 4 is an ordinance changing the title of Deputy Circuit Clerk 1 to Deputy Circuit Clerk 1/Administrative Assistant in the Circuit Clerk budget for 2021. Item 5 is an ordinance appropriating $35,000 from the property reappraisal line item in the Board of Equalization budget to the vehicles total capital outlay line item in the Assessor's budget for 2021. Item 6 is an ordinance anticipating reimbursement of $11,950 in the general fund and appropriating the amount of $11,950 from the unappropriated reserves of the general fund to various line items in the sheriff's budget for 2021. Item 7 is an ordinance recognizing revenue in the amount of $16,244 in the Animal Shelter Grant Fund and appropriating $16,244 from the Animal Shelter Grant Fund to Animal Shelter Grant Fund budget for 2021. Item 8 is an ordinance appropriating $71,186.84 from the Coronavirus Relief Fund to various line items in various county budgets for 2021 to correct errors and omissions.
Ready to vote?
Public comment.
Are there any public comments on any of these items on the consent agenda? Any public comments? Seeing no public comments, we'll vote on the consent agenda items 1 through 8. Are we ready to try our, pardon?
Motion was made by J.P. Deakins,
Sorry.
seconded by J.P. Lemming.
Ms. Patty, I'm sorry, are you gonna go ahead and read them and we'll push the buttons too?
It'll be one vote for all.
Right.
Yeah, but call them.
Okay. Sam Duncan,
Yes.
Shonda Washington. Eva Madison. Robert Dennis.
Yes.
Suki Hires. Evelyn Rio Stafford. Willie Lemming. Jim Wilson.
Yes.
Butch Pond.
Yes.
Lance Johnson.
Yes.
Shannon Marty. Sean Simons.
Yes.
Bill Usry.
Yes.
Patrick Deakins.
Yes.
Lisa Ecke. This ordinance passes.
and passes. We will take up number 9 as a standalone ordinance, if you'd read that by title only.
Item 9 is an ordinance appropriating $70,978 from unappropriated reserves in the general fund to the improvements other than buildings line item in the building and grounds budget for 2021.
JP Madison.
Thank you, JP Wilson. My concern about this is not that the annex doesn't need improvements far superior to the fire panel. It's that we've been given no indication that for an expense of almost $71,000 that there was any attempt to obtain competitive bidding. And it just seems like this was also something that was in need of a very, very long time ago. So I question why it wasn't budgeted. I just think we need to be doing better with how we're spending large chunks of money. We need better notice. We need to ensure that we're getting the best price. And in terms of the courthouse annex, it needs a lot more attention. It's had fire hazards that have been unattended to for quite some time, well beyond the fire alarm panel. That building doesn't even have air conditioning, or it's inconsistent right now. And there's leaking and all kinds of things. So I think we need to have more of a comprehensive report on that from Buildings and Grounds. And I can't support this without having a greater understanding of the reason why this expenditure is coming to us now without warning and at this expense level without bidding. Thank you.
Do we need a motion?
We will need a motion.
I make a motion to pass this item, and I'd like to speak to it.
Motion by JP Deacons, and was that
Second by JP Johnson.
JP Johnson? Okay.
A couple things I would note is, I love fiscal responsibility, and I want us to be very responsible. Unfortunately, things break. My understanding with talking to Buildings and Grounds and Chief of Staff Lester is that with the fire panel out, we think the fire extinguishers would come on, but the fire service might not be notified. Things break. And it's tough to get bids with an emergency, and that's why this is here before us now, and we haven't planned and budgeted for it because it was an unforeseen circumstance. So that's why I move passage, and I appreciate everybody supporting it.
Thank you, Chair. My concern is from a compliance and liability issue. If our fire suppression system is not working and out of compliance and we don't move to address that sooner than later and something does happen, the county could be liable for any damages. So.
I was going to see if Chief of Staff Lester could speak to this.
This fire panel is something that for a long time we've worked with the fire alarm company. We've been able to fix little things along the way. It was only a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, that the fire alarm company finally said, there's not any more fixes. What's happened now is catastrophic and it's out. And so that's why it wasn't budgeted. It wasn't foreseen. We'd been getting stopgap fixes along the way, but we're now to a point that there are no fixes left. So we've kind of run our course in the cheaper fix. That's not an option anymore. As far as the bidding is concerned, as a lot of you are aware, the state allows what we call cooperative purchasing agreements. The state allows us to use state bids because the state's already bid this stuff out. And so we are able to use those agreements because companies have already bid and have already locked in prices. And that's done for government, for education, for a lot of other things that these bid and these cooperative purchasing. And so this is on one of those cooperative purchasing platforms that is exempt from bidding so that it can be taken care of expeditiously without having to go through a long process of awarding bids and expense of the county of posting. So it has been bid. It hasn't been bid specifically by the county, but it has been bid.
I'm going to I'm voting for this in order to encourage department heads to keep, during budgeting process, keep their budgets as low as they can. They need to know that we will step up the plate and back them when unexpected catastrophes occur. We can't just leave people hanging and punish them for making their budget as low as they possibly can. I appreciate what they do. Thank you.
JP Madison?
I don't understand why we didn't get the bidding information when it was asked for in committee. It just seems shocking that it wasn't vetted in committee, that we're just hearing about it now. If it was on a state bid, that should have been explained when it was presented. The bidding question has come up a lot in recent times, and this is the first we've heard of using state bids. The answer in committee was that this was the only vendor. And that's apparently not the truth. So, thank you.
JP Evelyn Rios Stafford.
Thank you. I've gotten a couple emails from a constituent about other issues in the same building, broken elevators, AC units that are out, mold and mildew, rain coming in through the roof and things like that. So this isn't apparently the only issue with this building. And, I just wanted to put it out there that, I'm on the County Services Committee. I'd like to maybe see us as County Services Committee do an audit of all our county properties and see what's urgently in need of repair, what it's going to cost, and then we'll have an idea instead of getting requests like this sort of piecemeal. Yes, things do break, but we also know about other things that are potentially broken right now, but don't have a full understanding of what they are and what the costs are. So that way, we know for our budget purposes what that's going to be. This is something obviously that needs to be fixed, so I'll be voting for it. But I'd really like to get a greater understanding of what's happening with all our properties. Thank you.
JP Dennis?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is might be a little bit off topic, but something I've noticed that we're doing in court, and it seems wrong. When we get emails sent to us by the public, is that not a public comment? And should it not be recognized just like any comment from the public, where that they state who said it and where they're from? And if we're going to read all public comments from emails, that we're going to have to allow more than 12 minutes, because I get them, but it goes into my words where I'm saying it, not my constituents saying it. And so I think if we're going to read public comments, it should be during the public comment time. It should be stated who said it and where they're from. Thank you.
JP Duncan?
I just wanted to encourage any member of the County Service Committee or any other JPs to bring anything related to county services. You feel free to email that to Ms. Patty as an agenda item, and we'd love to bring that up. So just know that you're all welcome to bring any type of agenda item if we want to discuss issues with buildings or anything at all related to county services. Happy to address that in a meeting.
I just want to ask, is this whole 70,000 and stuff just for the fire alarm system? So every nickel of this money is going to the fire alarm system and sprinkler system? Just the panel box. Because this says the fire alarm, this says other things. That's the replacement cost of the panel. Okay. Well,
Well, I know all about fire, so I'm gonna support it, but if it's others, we may have trouble. Thank you.
Are there any public comments at this time? And of course, please state your name and where you live.
Sarah Moore, Fayetteville. There were some emails that had gone out, I think, to the county services individuals about the things that JP Madison spoke about in the building. And so thank you, JP Duncan, for saying, we could add that agenda item to county services and talk about. I think it's incredibly important when we've talked about that we spent an investment of $60,000 on an assessment of our criminal justice system, and we're talking about improvements that we need to make to get, the overcrowding down at our jail. And one of those things is that some of the hardest working individuals that we have in our county are our public defenders. They represent 90 to 95% of the criminal docket cases because our population in Washington County is so vulnerable and is so indigent. So it's incredibly important that we address this building. But I wanted to bring to your attention too, and I don't know what the update is. The fire panel obviously is an emergency, but I hope the elevator would also be an emergency because obviously we don't want to be out of compliance with ADA, and I think it was being looked at, but it's been out of service for quite some time. And obviously, in the event that somebody with mobility challenges was upstairs and there was unfortunately some kind of catastrophe, it could be very detrimental for that individual to be able to get downstairs. So I would hope that we'll really look at that and as an emergency as well and to get that addressed soon. Thank you.
Other public comments? Yes, JP Lemming.
What all is going on over there now, Brian?
As far as the building, issues with the building?
The building is, who's in there using that?
The upstairs, the top floor of the building is the public defender's office, and the bottom floor of the building is Judge Warren, which is our new division of juvenile court judge. She's on the bottom floor. And the elevator, there was an issue with the elevator that is being worked on during COVID because no one was using the elevator. Apparently, the breaker tripped. Something tripped the breaker on the elevator. And it has a backup battery that has to be functioning. And so when we got to looking at her, the serviceman got to looking at it, the day I got a phone call that said that the elevator wasn't working. I hadn't heard. We got over there. We got a serviceman there. He said that the battery had gone bad because it had tripped, so it had been running on battery until it just ran the battery out. And it's a specialty battery. So he ordered one that day. I think it should have been in. I don't have an update. I'll have an update by county services on that. The roof issue is an ongoing issue with several of our buildings, but this one in particular had some storm damage, and we are still working with the insurance company and trying to get, the insurance coverage on that to replace or repair. There's something about that roof, it's like a thin pull liner, and so it's hard to find exactly where all the holes are. And then that's what Buildings and Grounds have been trying to do. They've been trying to mitigate till we can get it taken care of. But currently it is being looked at. We are waiting on insurance. I'd be happy to bring an ordinance asking the Quorum Court just to pay out of pocket to repair that and then hopefully get money back. But it's not something that's has gone unnoticed.
JP Johnson.
How old is that roof, Brian?
I don't really know how old that building is. I think that building was built around 2000, and so it'd be 21 years.
Okay, I think we're ready for a roll call, Miss Patty.
Sam Duncan. Yes. Shonda Washington. Yes. Eva Madison. Abstain. Robert Dennis.
Yes.
Suki Hires. Evelyn Rio Stafford.
Yes.
Willie Lemming.
Yes.
Jim Wilson.
Yes.
Butch Pond. Yes. Lance Johnson? Yes. Shannon Marty? Sean Simons?
Yes.
Bill Usry?
Yes.
Patrick Deakins?
Yes.
Lisa Ecke? This ordinance passes.
Okay, I think we're down to our addition, the resolution. I think we've labeled it as item number 12, if you'd read that.
Do you want me to, I'm going to read this in its entirety, if that's okay with you. Item 12 is a resolution, be it resolved by the Quorum Court of the County of Washington, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled, a resolution recognizing the significance of Juneteenth in the history of the United States. Whereas Juneteenth is the longest recognized celebration that commemorates the emancipation of African American slaves, and whereas the name Juneteenth was created in response to the June 19, 1866 adoption of Black Independence Day in Galveston, Texas. And whereas Juneteenth celebrates America's commitment to liberty and equality for all as guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution, the Emancipation Proclamation issued by President Lincoln on January 1st, 1863, and the abolition of slavery codified by the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. And whereas Washington County is committed to the advancement of racial healing, racial reconciliation and restoration, ensuring justice, and furthering equitable opportunities for all people. And whereas Arkansas, along with 46 other states, recognizes and honors Juneteenth annually. And whereas in 1997, Congress recognized Juneteenth as Independence Day observance of Americans of African descent. And whereas Juneteenth's recognition has been passed on through rich familial and societal traditions and underscores the American guarantee to respect freedom for all people. And whereas Juneteenth's significance in American history must not be overlooked. Now therefore, be it ordained or resolved by the Quorum Court of Washington County, Arkansas, Article 1, that the Washington County Quorum Court hereby implores all residents to observe Juneteenth in recognition of its being the last day enslaved people in America were freed, and to recognize Juneteenth's significance in the history of the United States.
J.P. Washington.
Thank you. So a few weeks ago, I was in a meeting and someone was talking about the proposed Juneteenth resolution that was going before the city council, not understanding that the Quorum Court and the city council were two separate entities. And after I explained that, they then asked, well, what will the county's response be? And to my knowledge, there was no resolution regarding Juneteenth, so that's why we're here. We heard and you have read what all is in the resolution. This is a day that is very significant to African Americans as well as American history. It is the day that signifies that slaves of African descent were freed not just in theory, but also in practice. And this is something that I'm finding out that a lot of people did not know, that almost 2 years and some months after the Emancipation Proclamation, that there were still African Americans in the United States who were still functioning as slaves and did not know that they had actually been freed. So I just ask that you support this resolution. This is a day that is significant to American history. It is a day that is also significant to African Americans. This is something that has been celebrated in Northwest Arkansas for as long as I've lived here. And a lot of people have attended the celebrations without knowing the history behind it. So I would just ask and move that we support this resolution.
Who was the second?
J.P. Madison.
J.P. Madison, okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. I want to thank J.P. Washington for bringing this forward, very much so. My employer, my law firm, has observed Juneteenth as a firm holiday now for 2 years in a row. Partly last summer, it was in reaction to the death of George Floyd in an effort to become more racially aware. And I was very proud that today our president signed into law a declaration that Juneteenth is now a federal holiday. So President Biden is setting the way for this, and I would hope that in addition to the resolution recognizing it, that we would also look in the future at making Juneteenth a county holiday. I think it's important that the days that our society chooses to set aside as holidays recognize those things that are most important in our history, and Juneteenth is certainly one of them, and it recognizes the rights of our Black and African American citizens, and I fully support this, and thank you again.
J.P. Johnson.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. When I first saw this ordinance, it caused me to pause only because I'm always leery of things we get at 45 minutes before the meeting. But the more I thought about this is obviously a Republican holiday, and there's no way I can vote against that. So I'm going to be voting for it. Thank you.
J.P. Rios Stafford.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to thank JP Washington for bringing this forward, and I would like to move to amend the resolution to resolve that Juneteenth be observed as a formal paid county holiday beginning June 19th, 2022.
That is absolutely doable to make to that as resolution, but it has to be, it'll need an ordinance to actually be effective by the Quorum Court. So this is a resolution, but we will amend it. We can, if that's what passes, it will be amended. But I just want to know procedurally for the Quorum Court, there will still need to be an ordinance. Otherwise, the county, because you all set the holidays, and so we'll have to have that in an ordinance form.
Mr. Parliamentarian, are we going to vote on the amendment to the resolution, even though it would require an ordinance?
Yes.
Is that how that would be done?
That's correct.
So can you state for the body what we're voting on with the amendment?
Yeah. I'd like to withdraw my motion and bring it forward as an ordinance.
Okay, the amendment has been withdrawn, so at this time, we'll ask for public comment. Any public comment? If there's no public comment, oh, sorry, didn't see you get up.
Sorry. Sarah Moore. I just wanted to publicly thank you, JP Washington, for your leadership bringing this forward. As a person who's been born and raised in the state of Arkansas, unfortunately, this was very lightly touched on in my education as a child in the state of Arkansas, and only as a grown adult have I really come to understand this. And so I'm very excited that we're talking about this publicly and that we're making this recognition. And so I appreciate your leadership on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? If not, we'll vote on the motion on this resolution. Ms. Patty?
Sam Duncan. Yes. Chandra Washington. Yes. Eva Madison. Yes. Robert Dennis. Yes. Suki Hires. Evelyn Rios Stafford. Yes. Willie Lemming. Jim Wilson. Yes. Butch Pond. Yes. Lance Johnson. Yes. Shannon Marty. Yes. Sean Simons. Yes. Bill Usry. Yes. Patrick Deakins. Yes. Lisa Ecke. This resolution passes.
We're down to the committee reports at this time. County Services, any report?
No meeting, no report. Thank you, Chair.
It's in Finance and Budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The summary of the meeting is in the packet. I'd like to remind all JPs that I will let you know when the budgets are ready. I'm gonna continue to work with Comptroller Worthen when he gets those accumulated. The default will be an electronic budget, but if you would like a budget book, please let Miss Patty know, and they'll work on getting you a hard copy budget book. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Jails, law enforcement, and courts,
We did not meet this month. Thank you.
and personnel.
Mr. Chair, we worked on the, what was 1 through 4 in the consent agenda, and I want to say again, I appreciate everybody being supportive of what we did. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, motion to adjourn. Okay, got JP Duncan for the motion and JP Madison for the second. All in favor? Opposed? We're adjourned.